as federal and state politicians today rushed to condemn a growing pattern of violent attacks on Indian students in Melbourne. There are fears the violence could damage Australia's reputation abroad and its highly lucrative international education industry here. Both government and business here have pursued India with increasing vigour in recent years as one of the emerging powerhouse economies of the region. The Prime Minister, Kevin Rudd, was forced today to publicly reassure the Indian government that Australia is not a racist country after a rally of 3,000 Indian students in Melbourne's CBD. The latest victim of the run of attacks is fighting for his life in a Melbourne hospital. While police and Indian community leaders have appealed for calm, India's High Commissioner says the students have been provoked out of desperation. Heather Hewitt reports from Melbourne.
When hundreds of Indian students rallied in Melbourne's CBD yesterday, it was supposed to have been a peaceful protest. The aim was to highlight the latest attack on one of their own, an Indian student fighting for his life after being stabbed with a screwdriver by intruders at a birthday party in his own home a few weeks back.
When they enter the party and they started abusing, using the racial abuses, like you black Indians and like that stuff. So it's end up with the racial attack.
Are you now frightened to go back to your house to live?
Yeah. This is because the next day itself, our house was totally robbed.
The attack and the robbery that followed it galvanised the Indian student community in Melbourne, which decided yesterday enough was enough. But by the early hours of this morning, things had turned ugly.
There were 18 people taken into custody for breach of the peace. There was one person arrested for assault, and yesterday one person was summoned in relation to property damage for throwing things through the glass windows down at the Flinders Street station.
I felt quite uneasy in my stomach because this is icon of Victoria, Melbourne. We promote this wherever we go when we are promoting Australian education.
Our Indian communities overseas are law-abiding. They go by the rules. And if they have been provoked into this, it is because they have very real concerns.
Why are they so angry?
Because, there are many incidents that are happening in Melbourne, especially attacks on students. So one by one they're coming out. So one by one coming out, people are getting angry. This anger is bursting out. So this has just started now. So government, I think government should act on this, please.
The rally certainly hit its mark. By this afternoon, politicians were clamouring to slam the spate of attacks on Indian students and keen to avoid damage to Australian and Indian diplomatic relations.
These are senseless acts of violence. Those who carry out these attacks stand condemned.
We've managed to develop a broad, multicultural society with very little friction. But these recent brutal events in Melbourne threaten that peace.
There have been, I think, a number of cases involving students, Indian students, where you would draw the conclusion that the motivation for the attack was racially based.
In fact, the complaints of racial attacks had been pouring into federal and state governments for the past 12 months, and consultations were already underway between police and Indian community leaders about how to deal with it. But opinion is divided about whether all of the violence has been racially motivated.
I'm here last 22 years. Now we are growing our family. I got a teenage girl. I never felt at any stage in this country I'm treated differently, or any attacks based on racism against our community. I never felt it at any time.
So what's changed then? Why are these students feeling like this now?
I think that the sequence of things happen in the last few weeks or few months.
It's partly violence against Indian students. It's escalating robberies, and we have used the term soft target robberies. Now, the Indian students have taken that as referring directly to them. It's not. What we have seen is that robberies are now happening more directed against people in the street, directed against people who are wandering around with laptop computers, mobile phones, iPods, cash, and if they're alone, they're vulnerable.
I would advise them do not carry any money in their pocket. Not any money means not more than $20 or $50 in your pocket. and try to do things in a subtle way rather than flashing it.
But that doesn't explain why these two young Indian students who did nothing flashy but simply hold a small birthday party in their rented suburban house should suddenly find themselves visiting their fellow housemate in hospital, unsure if he's going to live or die.
We want safe Victoria. We don't want any crimes on racism or any crimes on students, any attacks on students. We want safe. We should be feeling like, just like in India, like back in home, we should feel safe.
There are 45,000 Indian students in Victoria, and most of them are based at colleges in Melbourne's CBD. It's a growth industry. But tensions have been simmering for some time now because when the students get here, the standards of the colleges and the promised lifestyle are not always what they're cracked up to be.
The students find themselves having to rent houses in the outer suburbs and doing night jobs to make ends meet.
There are many universities here which don't have their college accommodation. So that is why we are going to the suburbs, you know. That is why that's the main reason why we are getting attacked. You know, we are the persons who travel late night and go there. You know, we are the persons who are targeted.
The education consultants overseas, they tell them all sorts of goodies about Australia and how they are going to live, how they are going to earn. When they arrive here, they couldn't find proper accommodation.
Being asked to work for long hours. There's a case recently on record that a student worked for 72 hours without a break for a security firm.
On top of all that, when they are attacked, whether it's racially motivated or otherwise, some students are frightened to report it to police.
They always felt that the report is not taken well by the police within that area, wherever they went to complain. And also there is a stigma attached to that. If I go to police station, if I speak to police, my permanent residency could be at risk.
This is not new news. We've done a lot of work on this issue. We've got more work that we need to do.
With the attacks getting widespread media coverage in India and popular Bollywood movie stars weighing in too, what's at stake here is not just Australia's reputation. Its multi-billion-dollar international student industry could be damaged as well. After just 4 months studying IT in Melbourne, Jayasankar Bagiepalli has had enough.
See what happens here. We have been attacked. Not once, twice. Many people, many Indians are being attacked. That's what happens here. So if this continues to happen, you know, people from India really stops coming here.
Do you want to go home?
Yes, I am going. I'm going on 17th of this month. My parents doesn't want me to stay here. They're really concerned about me.
The fear of governments and institutions catering to international students is that others won't be far behind him, spreading their negative message back home.
Heather Ewart with that report from Melbourne. Still